Today, we're going to back it up. I'm going to step back a moment since I have new audience members that probably aren't as familiar with me as some of those who have been with me from the beginning. I thought it would be a great time to reintroduce myself and share with you the origins of how this all came to be. Where did the canine spirit guides come from? Where did I come from? Plus, I have new information for you regarding the canine spirit guides. So, this is going to be a really fun episode. Stay right there. Welcome to Awakening Your Spiritual Mastery. I'm Heather Lee Strom. Here, we explore quantum healing and holographic intelligence, bringing new architectures of human consciousness into lived experience. Let's begin. So, I am Heather Lee Strom, and I have been labeled the Galactic K9 Channel by the Canine Spirit Guides. But this isn't who I've always been. Or rather, it is who I've always been, but it wasn't who I knew I was. Let's be frank about that. Because this whole process was about me uncovering the limitations and the belief systems and the energetic pain that shrouded me so that I couldn't connect to this part of myself. But let's just back up, okay? Because it's not obvious to some people how this all came about. And it certainly was not something I saw coming. I have people who interview me a lot ask me, so how did you come up with the idea for your book? My book, Canine Spirit Guides. This was not a thought. This was not something I planned. This is something that came bursting out of me. It was something that just erupted through me as I began to heal. This wasn't something I knew I was going to do. So let me give you the background because this is critical information for those of you who are searching for your own spiritual awakening. You're searching for your own answers, your own clarity, your own direction, because that's exactly where I was when this all happened. And a lot of this is in the book. So if you want more detailed information, this is your manual. The reason this book has so much of my story in it is because the canine guides wanted you to understand how it might appear, how your life may appear when you are given opportunities to change it, to make a choice, or to step into opportunity which will allow you to heal. So that's the purpose of giving you all my background information. Painful, raw, real. This story is raw. I didn't hold anything back in this book. And the reason for that is I wanted you to see my story and my process. Everything that I went through is no different than you. I am a human being, and I was meant to come here and experience all of the trauma, all of the possible trauma on this earth plane. Because of this, because I experienced so much, I'm able to bring it to you so that you can see pieces of it that are within your experience, that are within your story, to make it more real for you. I wasn't born a psychic. I haven't been doing this my whole life. I never knew I could do any of this. And so when I get asked that question, how did you come up with the idea for this story? I always kind of laugh because I never saw it coming. I didn't know I could write a book. I didn't know anything about the canine guides. I didn't know they were working with me my entire life. It was just as much a surprise to me as it was to everyone else that I wrote a book. So that's what I want to stress. Number 1 with my audience today is there is so much more to you than you may be able to connect with at this moment. It wasn't until I healed, and that only happened with the assistance of the canine spirit guides. It wasn't until I healed that I was able to fully, number 1, love myself. I didn't know what love was. I had been what I thought in love, but I didn't really ever truly experience love until I found myself. I had to uncover all of the pain, the trauma. And it was a lot, you guys, a lot. And it wasn't painful to do that. It was a very easy process. It was like I was watching it from outside, identifying, objectively identifying those parts of me that were screaming and begging to be restored. And the canine guides helped me do this very quickly. But above all, I had to be ready and I had to be willing to let it go. I had to be willing for this really beautiful advanced healing technology to do its work within me and allow me to move past it. Had I held on to all that pain I had carried my entire life, it was like a backpack that I was carrying around on my shoulders. I always had neck pain, always. Like ever since 1998, I had neck pain. And it was because I was carrying around all these parts of me that were broken, that I um, that occluded me. Like it's hard to describe, but I imagine some of you know exactly what I'm trying to say. It's like you're enshrouded in a cocoon purely based on fear of being yourself. And you don't even know it. It's not cognitive. It's not a choice that you make. It sort of just happens to you as a result of your experiences in this world. And let me tell you guys something. It's not just my experiences in this lifetime, it's also experiences in previous lifetimes because your DNA carries all of your past trauma until you heal it. Once you heal that past trauma, your DNA heals, and then your DNA can be upgraded and expanded, and you are no longer sort of trapped and held into this conformity of human that everyone thinks we're supposed to be. And then you can really take off, just evolve like the divine butterfly, which is what happened with me in a very, very short order. So, this book did not come from an idea. This book and this entire transformation for me happened as I was given the invitation to step into my higher timeline. The invitation was, you're supposed to write a book and it needs to be done by the end of the year. So I found out in February. that I was going to be writing a book. I didn't start it until March, and it was done in October. Maybe, yeah, it was done in October. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Okay, 7 months, maybe 7 months. So that's really fast for almost 400-page book, right? Most authors can't crank out a book like that. I'm not an author. I didn't sit down and write an outline. This book was literally channeled through me. So as I worked with each canine spirit guides, they came to me one at a time in the order that they are, in the order that they are within the book. Okay, so Anthea came first. I had to get my work done with Anthea as I meditated and connected with. I didn't know the guides at first. I just knew the dogs that I wanted, that I was to write about. So the guides gave me the 10 dogs that would be in the book. I began writing about the first dog because that was a really beautiful story about Tori. So I just began writing about her. As I was meditating each day, trying to connect deeper with the messages from Tori, Anthea began to introduce herself to me. At first, I didn't know who she was. I didn't know she was separate than Tori. I just felt the presence of something that I had never experienced before. It took a while for me to understand that I was actually delivering the messages of a being outside of my dogs. I thought I was just writing a beautiful story about 10 of my dogs. So you can imagine how surprised I was to find out that it was much bigger than that. So as I was going through my process of connecting deeply with this story I had that I wanted to share about Tori, that's when Anthea came forward. She began working with me, healing me every time I sat in meditation. I had huge energetic shifts. Some of them seemed like convulsions. I was shaking so much as all of this old stagnant energy was just lifted up out of me. And then they began to fill me with new frequency. And each time this happened, my skills broadened and expanded, and I could hear more of what they were trying to share with me. I got their names. Each canine spirit guide has their own name that precisely reflects their frequency. Some of them, Anthea and Oscar, shared with me the origins of the dog breeds that reflect their precise frequency. So Anthea has chosen golden retriever and the cheetah, and she shared with me where the golden retriever dog breed originated from. And this is brand new information. I channeled this just the other day. Even 2 years after writing the book, I'm still understanding what I am and what I can do and the information that's coming through. So just the other day, they shared with me why they come through in these bipolar or conjoined frequencies of animals. One is a dog breed and one is a shamanic wild animal. And it was fascinating to me. I knew there was an intergalactic component. I could feel it because I have such a connection already with some of the intergalactic races. So I suspected there was probably a component of intergalactic. with the canine spirit guides. But when a new canine spirit guide came through the other day, his name is Lord. He's not in the book. He shared with me the precise reason why they come in the conjoined version, and I'll share with you right now. The dog breed that they choose to associate with reflects some intergalactic frequency that's wishing to come through into the earth plane. So when a dog breed is created or when it appears on earth, of course, we think we create the dog breeds, but really that's not how it works. When these dog breeds are put together, they represent a frequency of another universe, another planet, another race. So these dog frequencies, the breeds, are critical and they tend to contain very specific types of frequency. Like, take for instance, Anthea with the golden retriever. The golden retriever is always happy and joyous. They know no strangers. They love everybody. They're a little bit out to lunch. They're not the smartest dog I've ever worked with. Um, but that's part of their oblivious joy. They're not affected by anything around them. It's really hard to find a golden retriever in a bad mood. Have you ever noticed that? This is the frequency that this we'll say it could be a race, it could just be a planet, it could be a being. This is a very consistent frequency that is attempting to anchor in on the planet. Okay? That's the easiest way I can put it, I can share it with you. Now, the other half of the equation is the shamanic animal. So in Anthea's case, we have the cheetah. Well, these shamanic animals have been already anchored into the planet. The shamans have used them almost since the beginning of humanity. And the shamanic wisdom was passed down to humanity from other races that came to visit here, that came to visit us on Earth. So there's a lot of old wisdom already encapsulated within these shamanic animals. So the reason they have the conjoined image is because their frequency is so powerful. The frequency coming in through the dog breed is so powerful, and it's a much higher frequency than we've really ever embodied here on earth. It needs the anchoring frequency of the shamanic animal to help hold it here, to help us embody it a little bit better, embody it a little bit easier because it's not something our physical bodies are familiar with. So that's really, really special. So each of the canine guides you'll see in their pictures all have that conjoined image. And that's why I've had people ask me, what's up with the cheetah? What, isn't she just a golden retriever? And also I want to reiterate, I've said this before, but the breed that the canine guide associates with has nothing to do with your dog's breed. If Anthea is trying to connect with you over your own self love and joy, then you might not have a golden retriever dog in your life. But this golden retriever frequency comes through your dog in an attempt to connect with you. Same as in my book. You know, most of the dogs in this book are Malinois because that's what I was breeding at the time. So I had a lot of access to Malinois, but each of those dogs had a different guide. They had a different canine spirit guide. So some of them, you have Anthea, who's a golden retriever. You have, and that was with Tori, and she also came with Trixie, um, and also with Sally. And then you have Apache, who was channeling through a very advanced canine spirit guide, Oregon, and she's the Basenji. And then you have Nick and Zozo, who are both working with Oscar, who is the black and tan coonhound. These were all Malinois that came through, where the guides were working with me, and the guide breed didn't match my real life dog breed at all. So that's not significant. That has nothing to do with the actual dog breed you have in front of you. So just keep that in mind when you're reading the book or when you're doing any of my group sessions or watching my podcast. The guide that's working with you will not correlate by dog breed to the exact dog breed that you have. Okay. It's not relevant whatsoever. Um, so all of this information has just come channeling down through me throughout the process. And the more healed I got, the more that came through because the channel opened wider and it was more direct and more clear. Before I started writing this book, I had never done anything like that. I had never even meditated. So I had to learn to meditate so I could get the connection. Once I opened that door, the guides took care of everything else. I didn't have to try and learn how to do things. They just showed me how to do it. And that's what happens when you get your own trauma and your grief and your fear and your resistance and your avoidance. You just get it out of the way and you allow. My mentor at the time asked me, "Do you want to do this the slow and steady way, or do you want to do this the fast way?" Because he was the one holding my hand while all of this happened, helping me make sense of it. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I have waited my entire life to find my connection with myself because I always felt lost. I was in a lot of pain, a lot of grief. I didn't understand myself. I didn't know why I was here. Nothing made sense to me. I felt like a fish out of water. And I had been begging for decades for that to be relieved, for me to find that part of me that was missing. And when he asked me that question, I said, "Oh my gosh, let's go for it. Let's go fast. I don't want to waste any more time. I've already wasted 50 years of my life. Not wasted, but felt like I just wasn't making any progress." So I was really ready to just let it rip. And I didn't hold back. Anything I was shown, anything I heard, anything that I needed to do to progress myself along this path, I did it. I didn't ask questions. I didn't hesitate. Some of it was not something I would normally do, such as the meditation. Um, Also, I dug into plant medicine, which I never thought I would do, but I just did it because I was shown and I was led that I needed to take that action. And that's what I did. So if you are willing to pull up all the anchors and to just submit to the process, it will be very easy for you, just like it was for me. 6, 7 months, I was a completely different person. My frequency had shifted so much. I even changed my name to match the new frequency. I shared this in a reel, I think. Before I wrote my book, my name was different. But as I was writing the book, I think maybe I was 3/4 of the way through, I was hearing that I needed to use a different name for the book. And my question was, is it just for the book, like a pen name, or is this my whole name that's going to be changed legally? And when I brought it to my mentor, he said, yeah, you're going to change your name legally on everything to match your new frequency. My old name had served me well. It was a very strong name, but it was a little bit too masculine, a little bit too forceful. And now in my new location, my new energetic address, I was more soft. I was more feminine, more trusting and open and accepting. And so my new frequency needed to match the new address I had energetically shifted to. And the guides gave me my name and it matched perfectly, even though I didn't understand it at the time. Like I had no idea what Strom was all about. I looked up this name a couple times. It looked to be an American name, which was strange because I'd never heard it before. And only recently, when I moved to Colorado, went on a group hike, the leader of the hike was German. And the first thing she said to me was, and this is one of those messages from the divine, you know, when people speak to you and you get an answer to your question. She says to me, "Do you know Strom in German means electricity?" I was blown away. I had not even thought to look up that name in German because everything I found said it was American. And electricity, I'm an energetic healer now. Wow, that is a perfect name. And Lee, the way they had me spell it, Leigh, means healer. So I didn't know any of this when I actually changed my name. When I went to court, my husband stood next to me and we had my name changed. I didn't know any of this. I was just following what I was being told, what I was downloading, what I was receiving. And in order to stay congruent with myself, my divine self, I follow because now I have the ability to discern what's mine, what's not mine. So when I get information like that, I make sure I run it through my filters. Is this mine? Is this someone else's? Is this the ego? Okay. And once I run it through my test and I know without a doubt whether it's my divine source energy or whether it's something I need to take action on, or maybe it's something that belongs to someone else that I'm just witnessing, I know where to go with it. So I never feel like I can't trust what I'm given. I feel like I'm in total connection now, whereas before I was terrified. I was terrified to know myself. I was terrified to be myself. I was terrified to be out in the world. And now, with my book, all the podcasts and the interviews I'm doing, I am out in the world. I am speaking my truth, and I don't have an issue with it. It feels natural. It feels like I'm finally flowing. All of this energy is just flowing through in divine creation, and all I have to do is share it. That's it. It doesn't matter if you believe it. It doesn't matter if you follow it. It doesn't matter if it works for you, if it doesn't. Doesn't matter if you hate me for what I'm saying, because my only job is to number one, be myself fully, my authentic self. And number two, share that frequency because that's how humanity evolves. That's how humanity raises its vibrational frequency into love and light just by us being who we are meant to be here on this earth plane. So that's a lot to say about how this all came about, where this book came from. But it was really important to share that with you because you might not have picked up on that watching the other podcasts or any of the other interviews I did. This was not something I saw coming. This was not something I wrote down in an outline and knew where I was going when I started the first step. I simply followed the steps as they appeared in front of me, and I trusted. And the more I trusted, the more I came into and reconnected with my true self, my true source. It's a beautiful process. And to me, a lot of the people I work with, or I should say, I know I did it backwards in the beginning. Many people think that achieving a spiritual awakening only entails things that you add. Maybe a routine you add into your day. Maybe you're going to do yoga instead of running. Maybe you're going to do meditation instead of going to dinner with your friends, or scrolling Facebook in the morning. Um, so many people try and add things to their agenda, which is great because we need to change, we need to shift, right? But they forget that they have to address what's boiling under the surface and they can't even see. And this is where the canine guides were so brilliant. And they do this with my clients as well. They identify what's under the surface that needs to be eliminated, literally eliminated from your energetic body, your physical body, your DNA. That's the first step. So that was an incredible journey. I would love to have been in my husband's head as he watched all of this. He was just a a bystander in the process. He wasn't sure what was going on, but he knows that everything changed very quickly with me. And so what I want to stress is that my book is pretty much interdimensional, if you wanna think about it that way, because it's not just a book about dogs. There's 10 incredible stories about 10 of the dogs. I've owned 30 in my lifetime so far, but this book, the first book, is about 10 of the dogs that I personally owned and had a heart connection with. So it's not just a story about that bond between human and canine, which is very beautiful and it's very unique and special, but it's also a story about perseverance, overcoming tremendous hardships, tremendous. Also, we all have this, right? Childhood trauma. I had an incredible amount of childhood trauma that I had blocked out because I had to survive. And the only way I could survive was to forget about it, right? I mean, I knew I didn't like my childhood, but the brunt of the effects it had on me did not hit me until it came through me again to be released. And at that point, I realized, wow, no wonder I was so afraid. It digs into that personal childhood trauma that I experienced being raised by narcissistic parents and all of the downstream effects that had on me that I only recently identified. I had incredible loss, pain, and the underlying component was fear because of all of that, especially early on in life. It had set up a sense of intense fear, paranoia, especially fear of who I was. I had to overcome physical issues like a broken back, a brain surgery, and all of the lingering effects that offered. I had several chronic, debilitating illnesses. And all of these, everything that happened in my life happened for a very specific reason. And once I put it all together in the book and I got the channeled interpretation from the canine guides, I could see the precision of all of this, the profound reason it had happened to me, why it was in my life, why the parents I had were in my life. It all made sense, and it all looked like a beautiful novel that someone had written, and that's to me, when I read this, it looks like a beautiful story, even though it contains all of those pain parts, all of those pain bodies. Because if you can heal from that, you can then step away from it. And it's like you can look down upon it and you can see all the intricate little pieces that had to come together just right to allow you to evolve into the person you are now. Now, some of that involved pain that then had to be removed, but my experience provided that opportunity, and that's what's so beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That's possible for you too, as well. Now, my life has changed a lot since I wrote this book, and I didn't understand that that was going to happen. I knew I was going through some major shifts while I wrote the book, and that was incredible. But what I didn't see was what was going to happen as a result of the book. It was probably 6 months after the book came out that I finally understood that the point of writing the book was not the book itself. Writing the book was an opportunity and an opening for me to share that same frequency I received as I wrote the book from the canine spirit guides, that frequency that healed me, elevated me, expanded me, created this incredible spiritual awakening. I am meant to share that frequency with humanity. And so now, not only my name has changed, but my occupation has changed. After 30 years in the medical profession, I have walked away from my licenses and I have fully embraced working with people using an energetic medium for the first time in my life. I had hesitated before. I had been really afraid of my spiritual self. I didn't want to let it out. I didn't see how that could fit, how that could mesh in with my scientific reality that I lived in, but it just happened. Once I got the message, you need to bring this to the world, and I saw how they wanted me to utilize it and share it, I dropped everything because I no longer carry that resistance. I no longer carry that fear. And I just walked away. It's like I did an about turn and I turned to face me for the first time ever, myself, my true talents, my true gifts in this world. And so now I have a completely different occupation than I did before. I have a new name. There's going to be new books coming out. There are over 50 canine spirit guides. I just got 5 more downloaded. I'm going to get 3 more before I write the next book, which they've told me will be the essential 8. This first book was the core 4. The next 8 canine guides coming through will be considered the essential 8 And I'm already working with my clients. As my clients have the need for these other guides to come through, this is how I'm meeting them. They're coming through for these clients to work with them, and that's when they share themselves with me. So it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating what's coming through and what's possible with this type of healing, with this type of advanced technology that just makes it really, really easy. So my life has changed a lot. And also my daily life has changed a lot too. I used to be a hardcore athlete. You'll read in my book, I was a cyclist. I used to race road race. I started in road racing when I was 15 and then transferred over to mountain bike racing when I was 25, 26. So I've always been a hardcore athlete, endurance, extreme endurance athlete. And now through my after my transition, my awakening, I don't need that anymore. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to prove that to me anymore. I don't need to prove it to anyone else anymore. I don't need to put myself through that anymore just to feel like I'm alive, right? Because that was covering that need to succeed, to push myself to the utmost limit, was covering up the anger and the rage that I felt towards my parents, especially my father. This is how I dealt with it. I got the energy out through the bicycle. And I had this need to please him, even though he wasn't in my life. I wanted to feel like I could impress him. Like if he was in my life, he would be proud of me, even though he would never, even if he was in my life, he would never say so. But because of that hole within me, I felt this need to always push, 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 push. Now I don't feel that way anymore. Now I'm calm. The inner voice doesn't talk to me all the time, doesn't harass me, doesn't criticize me. I feel totally peaceful with who I am and where I am. And I don't feel like I need to do that to my body anymore. I'd rather meditate. I'd rather sit out in nature, go for a long hike with Gigi, enjoy the environment, enjoy the scenery, the birds, the sunshine, the wind. I mean, I'm much more into the elements now than I ever was before. So that's been a really big shift. And this is what happens when we spiritually grow. We change. So number one, it's important to allow this change because if you say, I want to have a spiritual awakening, but I don't want to change anything in my life, it's not happening. If you change frequency, your life is going to change. So it could be where you live. I had to do that. I had to move across country very spontaneously, unprovoked. It just happened. And I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll follow. I'll do what I'm told. I'll do what I'm shown. I didn't even question it. So it could be a move. It could be a relationship that needs to end or a new one that needs to begin. It could be a job change or a career change, such as myself. You have to be willing to allow these changes to happen in your life if you are going to embark on a spiritual transformation. If you say you want the transformation, but you don't want any change, your guides are going to stand there, tapping their foot, shaking their head. That's not going to work. So nothing's going to happen for you. So if you're one of those who's saying affirmations, you're doing vision boards, you're meditating and you're dictating, okay, I want all this beautiful manifestation to happen in my life, but I don't want to have to change it all to receive it. Nothing's going to happen for you. I'm so sorry to be the one to tell you that, but nothing will happen. And I can't even remember why I brought that up. Things move so quickly through my stream. Sometimes I can't keep up. So I know there were a couple more points they wanted me to give on that topic, but I can't remember what the topic was. So if you have any questions about any of this, please drop it in the chat. For those of you who are members of my community, you will be able to access the quantum download that we're going to receive from the canine guides related to this podcast. So I'm being shown that all 4 canine spirit guides are going to be working in this episode. Um, if you want to participate in the energetic portion of this podcast, all you have to do is join my community. Thank you for joining me today. The healing session for this episode with the Canine Spirit Guides is now available exclusively through my subscriber portal on Substack. These energetic downloads are sacred transmissions, and by moving them to a dedicated space, I can connect more intentionally with those of you who feel called to receive them. It also helps me get to know you a little better so that I can more effectively serve and support this growing community. If you'd like to access the healing frequencies of this episode's Canine Spirit Guide and future transmissions, just head over to my Substack at heatherleestrom.substack.com and become a subscriber. Whether you join us there or simply tune in here, the Canine Spirit Guides and I are so grateful to share this path with you. And be sure to stay put because there might be more coming on this podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I have enjoyed sharing the history of the Canine Spirit Guides, my process through my journey with you, and I look forward to seeing you at the next podcast. Remember to share your love in the comments, share this podcast with others that you think might be interested in, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. Love ya.